Backrooms scores 118 million global opening as Kane Parson becomes youngest director to top box office. I gotta admit, that's an achievement on itself. That's actually insanely impressive compared to the movies we're getting right now. Mandalorian, Grogu, Supergirl will probably not do that great, possibly. I doubt He-Man will do very good, let's be honest. I don't know, it feels like Backrooms was a breath of fresh air. I didn't actually watch it, but I did read pretty much almost everything that happens in the movie. And I gotta admit, I went to the movie theaters to watch Mandalorian Grogu. I gave it a 7. But now, in retrospect, the honeymoon session is over. The Mandalorian Grogu is done giving me a quick toppy. I gotta admit, without context for that movie, it already has no plot when you watch it. Like, you need to watch multiple things to understand what's going on, Mandalorian Grogu. Like, who are these characters and blah, blah, blah. I had the context. But when you don't have the context, the movie is definitely something. You could give it like a 5, and I see why people are calling it mid to bad without any context unless you're a Star Wars fan. Movies like this, Backrooms, Obsession, and all that, they're like these indie movies, and they're earning millions, more than almost these big Hollywood projects. And I don't know, it kind of gives me FOMO that I didn't see Backrooms when it's still in theaters, but I already know what happens now. Obsession, also a good movie again. Like, I understand why these movies are making money, and that's because there's passion to it, social media, and all that. I am hearing that Backrooms is getting like bad reviews because people don't understand the meme or the concept. Trust me, if you want a movie that has no plot and you don't need to understand because it doesn't try to make you understand, Mandalorian Grogu is right around the corner, buddy. It's right there. You turn off your brain. You try not to think about anything because even the movie isn't thinking about anything. And there you go. Those people should have watched that movie instead of complaining about Backrooms and all that. Again, it's not a perfect movie. I do see the flaws, but it is a very good movie in general. Like, in general, it's just a very good movie. I see the charm, and this guy, the director, he's gonna blow up. He's making really good movies if this is the starting point for it. Anyway, I'll just read the rest of the article, my rant, because again, I honestly feel like I should have watched this movie instead of Mandalorian Grogu, just because I wanted to give the Star Wars movie a benefit of the doubt. And honestly, again, I would probably give it a 5 now, even with the context that I have for Star Wars and all that. It's just bland. It just has no story. I thought it was decent, and that's pretty much it. Alright. Sherman Film earns highest opening ever for an original film from a debut direct. This was his first movie, while Obsession becomes Focus highest grossing film ever. Yeah, that's him. He first movie and he did great. This is a historic weekend both for the box office and for horror movies, thanks to A24, Sherman's Backrooms, and Focus Features Obsession, both of which are setting records for their respective studios and for Hollywood as a whole. With a 118 million global opening, including a 81.4 million domestic launch, that matches last weekend's 3-day opening of Disney Lucasfilm's The Mandalorian and Grogu. Backrooms has not only become the biggest opening ever for A24 by a considerable margin, it has also become the highest opening ever for original films from a debut director that has made 20-year-old Kane Parsons the youngest filmmaker ever to top the box office chart. Again, keep making more, man. I know you're not watching this, but keep making more. That's amazing. Oops. And like the 2023 video game adaptation Five Nights at Freddy's, which opened to a similar 80 million in North America, Backrooms is drawing its audience almost entirely from younger audiences, as 86% of moviegoers are under the age of 35, and 66% under the age of 25, and an astonishing 44% under the age of 21. For comparison, the Mandalorian Grogu, with a near identical opening weekend total, had an under 25 audience share of 27%. This Unk movie doesn't want youngsters to watch, I guess. I don't know. It just feels like nobody was talking about it when it came out. Even if this heavy screwing towards Gen Z and Gen Alpha combined with good but not stellar audience scores like a B minus on Cinema Score and 74% of Rotten Tomatoes leads to a more front-loaded theatrical run. Backrooms has already more than turned a theatrical profit and will easily pass 191 million global total of Marty Supreme in the coming week to become A24's highest grossing film ever. With a clear sequel hook at the end, Backrooms has everything it needs to become A24's first template franchise in its 13-year history. And they can make more sequels. The whole point of the Backrooms is that it's endless. There is no goal, no destination. You just kind of go in there. Everybody can have their own different story. So they got gold right here. If the movie is as good as this, again, I'm not sugarcoating it or anything, but it is a good movie. So with a strong opening for a horror film, one might think that the other horror titles storming theaters right now, Obsession, would have its momentum undercut. Not so. In the third weekend, Curry Baker's hit saw its weekend grosses increased yet again by 10% to 26.4 million for a running total of 104.7 million domestic, an all-time record for Focus Features, along with 148 million worldwide. It's an impressive figure considering that Obsession didn't have the significant YouTube hype that Backrooms had before its release, as the buzz from its midnight TIFF premiere last year was largely confined to industry insiders and hardcore cinephiles. I almost said something else. But since its release, its disturbing story and Indy Navarrete's star-making performance has made it a can't-miss film that keeps finding new moviegoers and has allowed it to perform in a way that has only been seen in recent years by Angel's 2023 indie hit Sound of Freedom, which Obsession is on pace to pass a 200 million plus domestic run. And that's another thing I want to say. The actors actually tried in Backrooms and Obsession. Again, the more I think about Mandalorian Grogu, the more I just say, wow, the acting was actually pretty terrible. Like the one woman, she has NPC dialogue. If you know, you know. I forgot her name, but it really sounds like she's a Fallout NPC character. So does Mando sometime. I don't know how much of Pedro Pascal is actually in that suit, but it kind of just sounds like he's reading from his bed or living room most of the time. I know that's what the character is supposed to be, but like, it kind of just sounds like he's reading off a script. So does everybody else. Again, triple A movie, Star Wars movie. Oh yeah, this is funny. But with this success, there is a flip side, as The Mandalorian Grogu has dropped a steep 70% from its opening weekend to a 25 million second weekend, bringing its total to 137.4 million domestic and 246.6 million worldwide. But yeah, it kind of just shows that these Hollywood movies, if you got Mandalorian Grogu, you know, Disney blockbuster guys, again, it just might be the Star Wars fatigue. You know, Star Wars is just not what it used to be anymore. But we'll see with He-Man and Supergirl if they do any good. If they do good, then maybe it's just a Star Wars thing, a Star Wars story. But I don't know. I kind of want to see the budgets of all three of these movies, because as it says right here, at this point, Mandalorian Grogu has fallen behind the pace of the 2018 dud Solo: A Star Wars Story, and it's increasingly likely that it will fail to match the film's 392 million global total. So I did the research, and wow, you can tell like these blockbuster movies just don't have any passion. They're just throwing money at the wall and see what sticks, because Mandalorian Grogu's budget is 165 million. They barely are hitting even. They're not even gonna get a profit from it almost. And then when you look at the Backrooms, 10 million USD, and it's made 118 million. 165 million, only 148 million its opening weekend. Where is the passion? Where is this money going? Because when I was watching that movie, that CGI was barely passable to garbage. I'm not gonna lie, it was barely passable. But with Backrooms, they know what to use their budget on. Corey, the director, I think that his name was Corey Kane. He knows what he's doing. He's a 20-year-old guy doing better than these old guys that have been directing. John Farrell, he made Iron Man 1. I freaking love that movie. What is going on with these movies now to the point where Backrooms, Obsession, which was only 75,000 to 1 million. Where is all this money going? Promotionals? Because I barely saw any promotion other than a Burger King Whopper for Mandalorian and Grogu. And we'll see with He-Man and Supergirl again. I know He-Man's gonna crash and burn. I'm sorry, it's He-Man, but Supergirl, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that I just want to see what's going on with movies. Or is Hollywood just cooked these days? I don't know, but I think that's about it. Take care.